You and I, we're breaking bounds on Baobab.
My name is Stella Serem. I work for the Global Give Back Circle in Kenya, and I am responsible for implementing the Baobab Platform Mentorship Program in Kenya. I would like to take this opportunity to warmly welcome you all to this webinar on sustainable entrepreneurship in Africa, focusing on what aspiring entrepreneurs need to know. So with us today, we have a panel of thriving entrepreneurs hailing from across Africa who are going to share with us insights on how to build a successful business in Africa. I will be the moderator for the panel discussion today, and I look forward to the session. I hope you are all ready to actively listen, to engage, and to ask questions. So I'll take a moment to introduce our panelists for today. We will be having 3 panelists. We have Elizabeth Mbalu Oke, who is the president and founder of Pivot Path. She is a strategic brand marketing and communications consultant. She has over a decade of experience partnering with the United States and international communications directors and program managers to connect to their stakeholders. Elizabeth has vast experience working with international organizations. Through her work experience, she has mastered the art of engaging audiences on a personal level, increasing donor and stakeholder buy-in, and sparking behavioral change in organizations. We also have Susan Nyambura Nyota, who is the head of SMEs and alternate channels at Britam. Susan has over 14 years of experience in leadership, sales strategy development, marketing, and sales acumen. She is very skilled in developing new distribution channels and diversifying product portfolio. Susan is well known to drive business development operations by training winning sales teams to achieve strategic business goals using innovative problem solving, cost containment, and stakeholder relationship management. Her greatest strengths are effective interpersonal and communication skills, training, learning and development, problem solving, strategy development, and streamlining business operations. We also have Lawrence Yawa, who is the founder and senior executive director of Dent Digest South Africa. I believe he's going to join us along the way. He was recognized as an honored member who demonstrated outstanding leadership, achievement in his occupation, industry, and profession. In his journey as an entrepreneur, Lawrence has worked in different areas, including a marketing consultant, joined the Army, and joined PDR Technical Training College of South Africa as the first Black student. Lawrence worked for PDR company in Stirling, Scotland, and came back to South Africa and founded his current venture, which is Dent Digest South Africa. He's currently training PDR technicians in South Africa. That is a brief of who we have on board today for our webinar. And to start us off, we are going to have 2 poll questions for you to answer. And thereafter, we welcome our panelists. The poll questions are going to give our panelists a feel of who they are interacting with today. So I would like us to take a moment and respond to the poll questions. Wow, so on the first poll question, have you ever thought of starting a business? Interesting that 100% of our participants today have ever thought of starting a business. The second one, would you rather be formally employed or start your own venture? We had 3 options. The first one is be employed, which has 0%. Start my own venture has 54%. And both be employed and start my own venture has 46%. Yeah, thank you so much for your responses. It's so interesting. Our panelists have had an idea of who they are interacting with today, and this is definitely the right forum for you since most of the participants are into starting their own businesses or having both employment and starting their own ventures. Okay, thank you so much. So we would like to take a moment and let our participants introduce themselves. I know we have given a brief profile of themselves, but we would like to know in brief how their journey has been, what it has taken for them to get to where they are today. So I'm not sure if Lawrence is on board already. Okay, so our panelists, we would like you to briefly introduce yourselves and tell us how you have risen to who you are today. Elizabeth, let's start with you. You are the president and founder of Pivot Path. That is a huge and brilliant achievement. In 2 minutes, will you please tell us about yourself and how you have risen to that level that you're in today?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity this afternoon. Again, my name is Elizabeth Umbalu Okre. I founded Pivot Paths, and we have 2 different locations. We have a location in Freetown, Sierra Leone, which is in West Africa, and another location that's in Atlanta, Georgia. I honestly started the foundation off of the passion that I had to connecting government and intergovernment organizations with the citizens, the residents. As we know, especially as citizens, there can be a huge disconnect when it comes to the communications and the work that the government and or the large intergovernment organizations like the European Union or the UN are doing in our communities. And so we kind of tried to bridge the gap, my team and I, for the clients, both within the United States as well as the ones in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to ensuring that the work that they do and the amazing impact that they have in the communities is actually being shed. We learned that there's 3 main things when it comes to communications. There's education, there's education, engagement, and then enlightenment in terms of people. Sometimes people do not know the things that are actually happening or taking place in their communities. And so we've kind of used that as the foundation in terms of what we do for all of our communications and visibility, in addition to, of course, helping young entrepreneurs just figure out their way when it comes to their target audience, what to do, where to get started, where to get capital investments. All those different things are very important as well.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. What I've been able to get from your brief introduction is how you are supporting entrepreneurs to figure out their way. I believe that most of our participants today who are in this session probably are in that stage of trying to figure out their way in entrepreneurship. And this still confirms to us that this is definitely the right forum for them to learn and engage with the best. Susan, to you, you are the head of SMEs and alternate channels in Britam. This is a huge achievement. We would like to know about your story. How have you been able to rise up to the level that you're in today?
Thank you so much, Stella. I'm not able to put my video. It's telling me the host has to allow it. But as I continue, my name is Susan Nyota, Stella has just mentioned. I like to say my first beginning with the background, because of course you have mentioned and highlighted what I do. I'm a mother of 3 kids. Personally, I've also been in career the last now almost 15 years. So for me, I'm excited about today because of 2 aspects approaching it, because of my own personal experience, but also because what I do for Britam, reaching out.
Are we all able to hear Susan?
Yeah, I think we
lost.
lost.
Apology, I dropped off.
Okay.
Yeah, apology for that. Yeah, I think it's the
we
internet.
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So saying the aspect of my career is where on a daily basis, we are able to trace small and medium enterprises to be able to identify what challenges they go through and come up with solution in terms of, how they are able to finance their businesses, what are the targeted niche of market they are looking at, as well, of course, clearly as what problem have they identified in the society that they are going to offer now the solution to ensure the sustainability as the topic we are having today. Of course, on my personal basis, I have been able to come from a very humble background, and I've always been interested to ensure that I also safeguard my own part of growing my own business as an individual, as I continue to build my own personal brand as Susan outside my employer's understanding of what I do on a daily basis. So that is how I was able then to identify a given, for now, also the SMEs, particularly as the market I deal with, as well, of course, as continue to also offer services and good on some of the businesses that are coming as SME that get to struggle with getting supply of goods on such as because of lack of capital. So that is me. Thank you so much, Stella.
Wow, thank you so much, Susan. Our participants are definitely going to get a feel of what employment is, at the same time having entrepreneurship pursuits on the side. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Susan, for your introduction. Elizabeth, you mentioned that about entrepreneurs figuring out their way in entrepreneurship. What does it take to start your own venture, and what should young people in Africa know before they decide to get into entrepreneurship?
So thank you for the question. To answer the first question, you have to have an unwavering passion for what it is you do. As Susan just mentioned, whatever business or organization you're looking to start, you have to be solving a solution or making someone's life better and or our community's life better. And so if it's an organization that you're trying to birth, what services or programming are you going to have in place to assist a particular group of individuals or the target audiences? And or if it's a business, the same facet. What services or products are you going to provide that'll make, you know, a mother's life easier, a young adult's life easier, a child's life easier, a man's, whatever your target audience is, being able to identify what that solution is to their issue, I think is one of the top things you should be focusing on. But having that unwavering passion, knowing that at the beginning it may be very difficult, you know, sometimes when it comes to the buy-in of those around you, maybe your friends and family, they may not have an understanding or true understanding of what your passion is, and so that should not be deterrent at all in terms of you pursuing what it is you want to do, as long as you have that unwavering passion. As far as what the young people in Africa need to know before entrepreneurship, honestly, researching. I always say there's nothing new under the sun. The only thing that's new is you, in terms of the uniqueness that you bring to the table. And so researching your target audience, who is it that you're trying to serve when it comes to your business or when it comes to your organization? What are they looking for? What motivates them? Where do they gather in terms of, you know, are there particular places digitally, social media, websites, different forums that they attend, or is it more of a traditional approach where you have to go to different events and shows, networking events in general? And so being able to research your target audience and the landscape of your business is very important, as well as networking in general, being a part of these type of, you know, organizations or events when it comes to mentorship is equally important, because you never know who knows someone, and no man is an island, especially when it comes to the foundational pieces of the business or organization.
Wow, you never know who knows someone, and no man is an island. How does mentorship and networking play a role in entrepreneurship?
Oh, it plays a huge role. I mean, it kind of tails back on what I just mentioned. When it comes to the mentors, oftentimes we've been through things in terms of different risk or different challenges in starting our businesses or organizations that we can then share with the mentees, that can mitigate their chances of having to go through the same thing and losing time and losing money and crying and stress and all the crazy things that take place at the beginning of the business. Oftentimes mentorship programs can kind of guide them on a light and a trajectory that'll help them mitigate those type of issues. Again, it's also networking. Even within the mentees themselves, there's networking that can take place in terms of, maybe there's a complementary person who has a business, you know, who sells cups and you sell juice. So then you can, you know, partner up, and there's different collaborative opportunities that can take place when it comes to mentorship and networking.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Susan, in the same line of starting a business or getting into entrepreneurship? What funding opportunities are available for young people who are looking for capital for their startups?
Thank you so much, Stella. So I will speak from my own experience starting a business at a very young age. And I was having one-on-one with my mentee, and she was identifying some of the problems she's having in Zambia. And what funding opportunities I believe are there is, as a young person, when you come into business, you might be having a problem of capital, and that is one of the challenges that hinders most of us to start business. And therefore, from my experience, when I was starting business, I totally did not have capital, but I did have time, and I did have that I can sell my service to my, let me call that person my business partner. But the business partner could afford the capital. And therefore, I was telling my mentee yesterday that in any challenges, as Elizabeth has just mentioned in business, you will always look for opportunity. So for me, for the youth is, if you do not have money, do you have time that you can sell to the person who has money? Or do you also have the ability to offer a service for the person who has capital and they do not have the time as well as the ability to offer the specific service? And I will give my own story where I used to go to sell clothes and go to my neighboring country, Uganda, in the evening on Friday after work. But arrive in the morning Saturday, shop the whole day, then come back Saturday night, stay with my family, and start selling these bags and clothes on Monday as I continue to do my daily job 8 to 5 o'clock. And this is where I got my capital, because we agreed, you have the capital as my partner, but I have the time and the service. We will share profit 50-50. I was able now to start business from that ground. So that's where I will speak when I'm speaking to our mentees, whose biggest challenge sometimes is capital. Number two, where you can be able is to, of course, look at partners who might not be very macro. I'm talking of micro. Are you talking of savings and credit? Have you started little saving even when you are in school, that you have opened a savings account that you're able now to start getting little funding when you're looking for business? And of course, as Africa, are you able also to ask for your family, partner with your peers to be able to start something small and grow it big in future? So that would be my advice, Stella, looking at our of course, mentees' experience before going now on the larger scale, where a bigger business might be able to really get funding from sourcing funding, even from international grounds, that are able to identify partners that look, as we've just said, at a problem. I have a solution. Are you able to come and partner with me, who you yourself, who has now the ability of financial stability? Thank you, Stella.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what stands out is, of course, how you can always start small. I like the fact that we should not look at entrepreneurship at an instance as something that is so huge and something that cannot be achieved, but starting small and also trying to network and reach out to friends that have the same interests can set the right footing even when it comes to capital. Thank you so much, Susan, for that insight. Elizabeth, what would you advise as the most important habits or skills that one needs to have to be a successful entrepreneur in Africa?
Before I answer that one, do you mind if I respond to that financial question as well?
Perfect. That's so much welcome.
Okay, thank you. In addition to what Susan mentioned, especially when it comes to when you're trying to go after those capital investments, whether they be 100 to 1 million, depending upon the amount, it's really important to have a business plan in place. It doesn't have to be anything that's stringent or anything that's too cumbersome or long. It could be a 2-page business plan that just says what it is you do, what services or products you provide, what your financials may look like. If you haven't sold anything, at least something projected. This year, I plan on making $1,200 or whatever the case may be, because when you're able to put that in place, you have a holistic picture of what it is you're trying to achieve. In addition to that, when you're trying to seek funding, even if it's from friends and family, try to itemize what it is you actually need. Don't just say arbitrarily, I need $3,000 or I need $5,000. try to itemize. I need this much to purchase this product. I need this much to purchase this much for registration fees, this much for licenses. That way you can really see what it is you actually need and ask for what you only need, and necessarily what you want at the moment. Oftentimes, some startup entrepreneurs may ask for so much more, but depending upon how you receive it, if it's not a gift and if it's a loan, there's interest, there's a bunch of different things that may come across. And so try to itemize the things in which you need, and then try to tackle going to family first, friend first, those who you don't have to convince as much, to kind of do that fundraising, if you will, before you begin reaching out. So just kind of having a strategic way in which you go to scout when it comes to financial investments, and not just going out there, because it can save a lot of time. And always remember, time is currency. Even if it isn't monetary, anytime that you invest in something, whether it's in your personal 9 to 5 business job or your actual business, it's still a currency nonetheless.
Thank you so much for bringing out that. It's so really important to understand that for any entrepreneur, you need a business plan that helps you to set the foot. I like the fact that you've mentioned that even for the capital that you need, you have to itemize everything and allocate an amount to every aspect of that business. This then becomes a guide to anyone that wants to start a business, so that you know exactly how much you need. And now you can even think about the options, the funding options you can explore. Thank you so much for that addition.
No problem. And then to answer the question about the most important habits, I'll touch on both the soft skills as well as hard skills. I think from a soft skills perspective, having the true confidence in your vision and your passion is honestly extremely important. As I mentioned, as a startup entrepreneur, you have something that's driven within you, that's been birthed within you. But again, sometimes it may be difficult for those outside of you to actually see the passion, see why you're so invested. So you kind of have to have that foundational root within yourself to keep going, even when things are difficult, even when you don't have the financial means to make it happen, even when you are struggling between your actual job and the business. Having that as a foundation will really ensure that you keep moving forward. One thing I will also say is, I think that in African culture, we have the tendency to be overly modest when it comes to our businesses and organizations as well. We try to minimize, or not dumb it down per se, but try to water it down in terms of the impact or what it is. Speak confidently when you're speaking to anyone about your business, your friends, your family, people that you're networking with. Let them see the vision and the story that you have in regards to why you're doing what you're doing and why your passion is being fueled. Some other hard skills I would say are: be inquisitive, never be afraid to ask questions. You will not know the answers to certain things or be able to mitigate different risks if you don't ask the questions when it comes to those that you believe may be able to guide you properly. But also take strategic risk when it comes to anything you leap out to. I'm not saying quit your job today and start your business, not at all. What I mean is just be strategic when it comes to, okay, should I take out, this loan or not? Should I go to this networking event and or do this collaboration with this partnership or not? Try to see the ends in terms of why you're doing things before just reaching out to do things that may not be beneficial for your business in the long run. Yes, I think that's basically it.
Okay, so while at the habits or skills, is there one that has stood out for you and that you probably struggled to have in place, but you feel has really stood out for you in your rise to who you are today?
I had a very difficult time with delegation. I wanted to be the solo entrepreneur. Me, I do this. Okay, accounting, boom. Marketing, boom. This, everything I wanted to do at the beginning of my business, which I understand financially, is probably what most business entrepreneurs start off with, because financially you just don't have the means to pay people to do it. Over time, though, I have learned the importance of delegation and collaboration. I don't have to do everything. Even when it comes to certain skills that I know I'm really good at, but I'm not so good at other things, trying to collaborate. As Susan mentioned, sometimes that bartering system of things, partnering with an organization, you can give them this, they can give you something in return. That bartering system may also work. But I definitely had a hard time with asking for help. and knowing and identifying when I could not do everything. And so I definitely think that's very important in the starting phase, as well as the businesses continue to grow or organizations continue to grow, to know when to ask for help. It could be a friend, a family member. It could be a colleague. It could be anyone that you think could bring their personal skills and uniqueness to your business or your vision to the table without you having to be overwhelmed, burnt out, and do everything yourself.
Thank you so much for that. Definitely, it's important for everyone to know that asking for help is the right thing to do. And with the help of others, we definitely can achieve more. Susan, so even in this path of young entrepreneurs trying to figure out what businesses they can start, it turns out that your business has to be visible, and we would like to get your insights on how someone starting out in entrepreneurship can create a successful brand so that their business is visible.
Thank you, Stella. So for me, it's first to identify which kind of an entrepreneur you are. So are you a creator? Are you a builder, or are you an operator? As Elizabeth has just mentioned, it's very important for you to understand yourself. As Elizabeth has said, I've always struggled also with delegation, which limited me to grow a lot. And I know it's because maybe you trust yourself more than you trust another person doing your job. Therefore, for me, with time, then I've come to understand I am not even a creator. I am not the kind of an entrepreneur who sits down and thinks in depth and is able to really create something that comes out. That is a gift my husband has, and he's a director on business that deals with that. I am a builder. I am the marketing and salesperson. I can have now leave the brain work to be done with my genius husband, but myself on ground marketing, I'm able to speak, as you can hear, I do not struggle. I'm able to really clearly articulate myself. I'm able to look for funding. I'm able to go look for business. And therefore, I have concentrated with who I am as an entrepreneur. And there are people now who are also very good operators. You'll find someone who is very good at the technical part of your business. And therefore, for me, that is a very important aspect as an entrepreneur. As a young person, when you want to start any business, first identify who you are, so that it's easy for you to delegate, or it's easy for you to partner to have a sustainable business. Of course, the second part is for you to also look at your strength. Is it coming from a passionate place? Is it that you are confident? Are you a good planner? Are you always on top? Are you a money manager? Or are you a person, again, who is not going to give up when things are tough? Because I've seen it, I've used the example of, because we did business a lot with my husband from a very young age of 24 years while still in university. It became very easy for us because his the brain works, but he can give up very fast when things are tough. But myself, I might not be the creator, but I do not give up. You tell me no, I'm going to knock the door next time. I'm going to give you time. I'm going to keep explaining to you why you need me. And I'm going to keep showing you until you buy my brand. So that is very important for our youth to understand, because I keep saying, what is easy? I keep saying for my team, being poor is hard, but working hard also is hard. So I always choose my hard. I want to make money. I'm going to choose that hard and not the poverty hard. So thank you. I hope that answers your question, Stella.
Thank you so much. It's so interesting to learn that even in this journey in entrepreneurship, you need a reality check to ask yourself what your strengths are and what your partner can help you with, so that you're both able to collaborate and implement your business ideas together. Thank you so much. That was so insightful. Elizabeth, what are the main challenges you have noticed facing entrepreneurs in Africa today, and how do you think an upcoming entrepreneur can navigate them?
I think a lot of the issues, although not most, a lot of them start from the mind. As Stella mentioned, I think really having an understanding of not necessarily who you are, because we shift and we change, every 5 to 10 years, as they say. But at least having an understanding of the foundational elements of what makes you you and what it is that's driving you toward your business or organization, or birthing this organization. So having that reality check, as you mentioned, and Stella mentioned as well. And that foundation, I think, is really important. But I think one thing too is the financial. I think that sometimes as African entrepreneurs, we get so caught up in the lack of access when it comes to the financial, which automatically discourages us from moving forward when it comes to things. Or if we do get told no about a particular opportunity, we start doubting ourselves and start trying to question, okay, is this really right? Especially when, culture may be telling you go where the money is, not necessarily go where your passion is. And so I think that, some of the main challenges are the confidence and staying true to oneself when it comes to the vision of whatever this dream is, but then also the financial hurdles that come with just having little access when it comes to funding, because that then leads to delegation. Sometimes when delegation involves you paying someone, how can you pay someone when you yourself don't have the money coming from your business? But I think that's where strategy comes in terms of the business plan. I know that people are like, oh God, business plans, documents, financials, what is this? This is ridiculous. It sounds cumbersome because of how we've projected it and the connotation behind business plan. But it really does help when it comes to strategically being able to move forward and move your business forward without spending it and exhausting too much time. I think that when, it's just an idea and a concept, you spend so much time trying to figure out this and that, and you move so many different places and have conversations and doors not open and money wasted. But when you have something in place on paper that you can go back to every week, every month, every couple of months, and say, okay, this is where it all began, this is what the foundation is of this, then you strategically begin aligning yourself in those different networks where you can help your business grow. You begin going to different events or speaking to different people who then begin gravitating to helping you get to where you need to be. And then the money and all those different things that you are aiming for begin to be attracted to you because you're focusing on the strategy. And so it's all a mindset thing. I think it's definitely the foundational thing in terms of having an understanding that it will not be easy, that there will be moments where you will definitely question yourself, especially if the financials and those things are not coming in as you want them to, or isn't growing fast enough. But just remaining true to yourself and being strategic in terms of how you move forward, I think is very important for African entrepreneurs.
And Elizabeth, because you've mentioned passion and money in entrepreneurship, where do those two meet?
Passion and money.
Yes.
If you have the answer to that, please give it to me. I think that we as humans have an insatiable palate to continue getting more. I don't think there's ever a pinnacle point where we say, okay, well, this is enough money, or this is enough passion, or this is. I think we just as humans have this insatiable appetite to always go the next step, even when we maybe last year said this was the level of success, and then we get there, we're like, maybe this is not a level of success. And so I think that's a very difficult question to ask. However, I do think that when you are truly passionate about something and you are strategic in terms of how you move forward with it, that the money will come. And I say that as a particular testament. I'm not sure how much time I have to go into this answer, but I birthed Pivot Path out of my child being born 2 pounds and being in the hospital for 3 months, and me also having to be in the hospital for a very long time due to preeclampsia. And so I had no dreams of ever becoming an entrepreneur. I had no interest in ever wanting to have a business. That's how so many of them fail. And I was scared and I doubted myself. And who was going to believe me? I'm young. Who's going to take me seriously? But the passion that I had to connect and to create and to communicate and to bring the bridges together when it came to different organizations and citizens, it kept with me and it just stayed. And this passion has literally become the business, which has then brought in the money that I'm making more now following my passion than I was in my business. And so I think that if you stay true to yourself, know your strengths and weaknesses, know where you can delegate, the village of the community for the organization or business will come. It will come as long as you're true to yourself.
Elizabeth, you mentioned that you do not have an answer, but clearly we got it from you. Yeah, so Susan, in your experience as both an employed person dealing with SMEs and having entrepreneurial pursuits, What would you say are the top 5 growing industries of the future that an upcoming entrepreneur in Africa should consider venturing into?
Wow, wide question. But I think largely it depends with where you are. And allow me to use my example, and then I think that the team can be able now to narrow it down to where they are. For example, as I mentioned, one of the key things, as we keep repeating with Elizabeth, is identifying a problem and then looking out what solution you're going to offer. So like, for example, my country, why I started real estate is, as I was continuing my business with my company, Britam, offering the SMEs, I realized one of the things they struggle with is housing. It was too expensive. Because predominantly people will keep building what we call the 3 2-bedrooms or 1-bedrooms, and they are quite expensive. So I came up on the just a bit outcast of what we call the urban town, and started developing what we call the executive bed sitter. I don't know in your country, maybe Elizabeth, you call them studios. So in Kenya, we call them bed sitters. I started now building real estate on bed sitter, and it has grown very well. I do not struggle even during COVID when people had issues of business and not working. I did not struggle with income. Rather, I had a waiting list of people now shifting from expensive household to be able to join my apartment, because of course I've been able to market it online. So you see now, that's what I'm talking about. Someone else will look for money and build the big houses. We want to go to the outskirts of the towns, and they will struggle because if financial issues, the economic ripple effect that we are seeing now post-COVID, everyone is really struggling financially. Now I have identified that problem, and that's how I started real estate business, and it's growing very well. I'll use the second example of how providing goods and services. On a daily basis, I get to meet SMEs where I provide insurance services. Then I realized they started asking me about other services that I do not offer. Therefore, do you know what I started doing, Stella? I started becoming a middleman or a middle woman. So what I did, for example, one of the biggest Chinese company, I was offering insurance services from my company, Britam, asked me, are you able to get us a genuine company that will be able to do garbage collection and cleaning? Immediately I said yes. Then as an entrepreneur, a bulb lit up, and I went and approached these two companies. I was able to get a quotation. I marked up a bit of profit, and then took it back to the Chinese company. And that's how I started my business. And that's what now I do. When it comes now to what we call tender business, and where I'm accountable for the services that are provided to the main company. That's how my business has gone straight, Stella. And you see, I did not use any capital. If you look at it, my service company, I have never used my capital. I am just a middle woman. Let me put middle woman. I'm just a middle woman, and just ensure both parties are able to meet their core business, and my core business is to bring them together. That's why, and that's what I was telling my mentee yesterday, because she was a bit distressed, and I was telling her, if you keep looking at the challenges that are there, as an entrepreneur, as Elizabeth said, it's going to get tougher even as you grow. Competition becomes very tough. You need more money. You need to be, to the creator, even if you are not, to be able to be sustainable. And therefore, you should not concentrate on the problem. Concentrate on the opportunity that is coming out at any given time. So for me, Stella, I think that's how I would answer that question, especially looking at now our panel, our team that we are talking to today. Asante.
Thank you so much, Susan. What stands out is that we should be able to transform the problems into opportunities. And also, while looking for opportunities, we need to be good listeners. When your existing customers give you feedback or ask for services that you do not offer, that's an opportunity that is wrapped in a small package. So definitely those are really good insights that are going to help our participants today. Back to you, Elizabeth. For us young people starting out on their entrepreneurial pursuits, what would you advise as the best way to build a successful customer base?
Good question. So going back to the research, I think it's very important to understand where your customers gather. So your prospects gather rather. Is it digitally? Is there online forums or social media or websites that they go on, or are they more of the traditional approach, going to the market, speaking to people, going to different events, etc. I think also sometimes startup businesses forget to cultivate or recultivate the relationship with existing customers and are constantly trying to just seek new. But it's equally important to make sure that your current customers are taken care of, that you keep communications with them, at least to some consistency, that they know that you're still there, maybe offer them referral type of services, that way you can continue allowing them to market for you on your behalf. Um, Also, customer testimonials or success stories are really important too when it comes to building a customer base, because you want to ensure that those that are seeing your brand or your organization can trust it in some type of way. And we typically go to reviews or testimonials, to kind of gauge that trust. Networking, of course, again, you don't know who knows someone, but someone always knows someone. And so networking, collaborating, having partnerships, I think is equally important. But then the last thing is keeping up with your digital or traditional marketing materials, business cards, an overview brochure, things that you can actually pass to people so they can take home with them or take with them, I think is important too, because sometimes a conversation may get forgotten or lost. But if they have your business card, or if they have something in hand, as it relates to your business, your URL to your website or to whatever site it is, social media, then it at least keeps them in the loop. They say in this day and age, it takes about 10 plus times for a customer to see a brand or organization before they convert to either volunteer or to purchase something. With the digital media and COVID and everyone being remote, it's even more, where we constantly have to see something to be reminded. And so just being aware of that, and ensuring that you're putting your best foot forward is very important to grow your customer base.
Thank you so much for your insights. Just before we usher in the question and answer session, so we also get to know, to hear from our participants, I would just like to ask Suzanne, with the struggles that young people are going through in search of employment in the job market today, what are your views on the future of entrepreneurship?
Thank you, Stella. I always say, that's the easiest question, because then the answer comes, why am I still in employment? I'm still doing well in business. I think it starts with something that I really loved that Elizabeth mentioned. It also comes from your passion. For myself as an individual, I do love power and influence. And that is the main reason why I'm still in employment. Yeah, so let's be truthful why we do some things. The power and influence that I keep gathering in my career is able to open doors and windows that I would not have if I was just, an upcoming entrepreneur outside there. If I step outside right now, I do have fuel to fuel my car to go for business on Saturday because I do have a consistent income. As I mentioned, Britam gives me an opportunity to meet great customers outside there because of their brand. And then I'm able to build Susan Nyota's brand now to be able to build my business. So that is a very good aspect that you as a young person must be able to really sit down and identify, why do you do some things? So once I identified that I do love the power and influence that comes from the career world, I then looked at the opportunities that are there that I will take advantage of, that will come out as I grow in my career. Number two for me, of course, comes with me understanding that as an individual, what do I want for my future? So I'm preparing for my retirement, though I'm in the career industry. So as Elizabeth says, I, as Susan, I'm still very scared to come out like Elizabeth and just do business 100%. And because I'm scared of that, it's not going to stop me. That's what I was saying. As a great entrepreneur, you must have the business survey part of it. You must be confident, and you must always have that I am on to opportunities that might come in. So now that I have accepted that, Susan, I'm scared of, giving my termination letter and getting into business 100%. That makes it very easy for me. I do not regret, neither is there any conflict with my businesses. I make sure I do my duty 8 to 5. And you see, like now what we are doing past 5, I'm able to serve like what I'm serving now to this, and I'm able to do my businesses early morning and after work and on the weekend. And this has really helped me as an individual, because I have met people who keep asking me, how do you do it? You know how I do it, Stella? Because I know what I want. I know I want power and influence 8 to 5 p.m. and no conflict about it. But 5 p.m. to now 7 a.m., I am building Susan Nyota's brand that will be able to be something that no one can take away from me as an individual. So it is very important for our youth to understand that, and that's why I keep saying, when people say you get into business and you resign, be very careful, You must sit down and say, do I have that diamond heart? Yes. Do I have that plan A and plan A? I say business does not have plan B. Employment is the one that has plan A and B. In business, it's plan A and A. It's either Elizabeth make money or she's not going to be able to pay her bills. If I don't make money, my salary pays my bills. So it's very important for our team to understand that, so that then it is easy for them then to make that decision. Event entrepreneur is important. For me, the answer is it is very important, because that's where you build your personal brand. Asante sana, thank you.
Thank you so much. Your response really speaks to our participants who say that they would like to explore business ventures and at the same time get into employment. I'm glad that they now know that both are possible and you can thrive both in employment and in entrepreneurship. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Susan, for your powerful insights. We have really learned. Thank you so much for taking your time to share your responses and to share your personal stories in this journey. Thank you. And we would now like to take a moment to hear what questions our participants have. Now, to our participants, please raise your hand if you have any questions, and also feel free to type your questions on the chat. Our panelists are ready to respond to the questions.
Now, Stella, can see hands are up, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I can see. Charles Nyanja,
yes.
please ask your question. Hello.
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 Can I be heard?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
My name is Nyanja Charles Vincent. I'm a student currently. I'm a student at Bustema University in Uganda. And I'm very grateful to be part of this great conversation. Personally, when I joined campus, I had a lot of challenges in sustaining myself, because I entered campus on sponsorship, but it was not fully catering for my facilitation, like accommodation and daily activities. So I got that as a challenge, and it really broadened my mind to start up something. Previously, when I was in high school, I got a skill of making liquid soap. And currently, I started it at campus, and I'm earning from it to sustain myself. So I really find this moment of having you entrepreneurs advising me as a very great moment. But I have just two questions to ask. One, how would you, our dear panelists, advise the youth like me who have the mindset that the only way to achieve their career passion is only by getting employed rather than being self-employed?
Susan, did you want to answer that one first?
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay. Yeah, Charles, do you want me to answer? Okay.
Let
So,
me add. Okay, it's okay.
okay, Charles, just finish
Yeah,
the questions.
there is another one.
Okay.
I also have a difficulty in making my brand grow. Like I make liquid soap, but whenever I move out of campus to go and sell my soap. I move with 5 liter jerrycan and 10 liter jerrycan selling. Now, when I reach some people to begin explaining my product, some people just bounce me like, "You get away with your product. What's this?" So I really find so discouraged. How can I be helped out? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. Do not be discouraged. As Elizabeth mentioned, in business, I keep saying, even yourself, Charles, when you wake up and go to the shop and enter a supermarket, you do not buy everything. You buy what you need, want, and can afford. So when someone tells you no, please do not take it negatively. Just understand at that time they do not need your product, but another person needs. And your homework at that time is to assure them when they will need, you are a call away to offer the service. That's how I will encourage you on that. So going to the first question that you have asked, where we think as youth, the only way to succeed is through career. Number one is because I know you fear. The fear of unknown, and that's what business is. The fear of unknown of tomorrow security is what makes most of us not go. And I've given you my story. Even after being in the career and doing business more than 15 years, I still have the fear of unknown. But that has not stopped me, Charles. What I have done, I have continued to grow in my career, which gives me the security of not having the fear of unknown, but I have continued building what you have mentioned, number two, who is Susan Nyota as a brand. So as I work for my company, I'm very keen to sell the key things that I mentioned that are very key for any entrepreneur. As Charles, are you passionate in what you do? Why would I buy soap from you and not buy in the supermarket? Is it how you look at first instance? Do you look like a good soap seller? Okay, Charles. Number two, are you really passionate and telling me how this soap is important, how it's gonna change my cleaning life? Are you speaking until I'm buying you? Because remember, we do not buy products first, we buy people. That's why you go to a given supermarket and not another one. Okay, Charles? That's how you get to build your brand. Number two, you must be business savvy. So are you offering free soap in very little bit for someone to test? Then you let them know that if they like it, they'll be able to sell it. You'll be able to sell them in future. That is what we call marketing. So you will need to identify, are you able to do what I call now the soft micro marketing? Offering very little soap, you will find your way of doing it and tell someone, test it. Are you also doing marketing where you are telling someone, you've given an opportunity, can I show you how my soap is good? You know, you're putting it in water and it's having very good form, it's having very good scent. So that's where the passion comes from, Charles, for you to be able to be business savvy. And last but not least is confidence. As I said, to be able to build your brand, people sometimes will buy Elizabeth and not what she is selling first. They will first buy her. Is she articulate? Is she confident in what she's saying? Is she a good planner? Does she have a business plan? You know, are you a good money manager that when money comes, you understand there's the difference between savings and investment to be able to grow your business tomorrow so that during the tough season of business, you're not going to close your business. So those are very important things, Charles, that I'll be able to advise you on the aspect of those two ways. But I will encourage you, just look and see what problems are in the society, even when you are employed, and start offering solutions as you continue growing your brand as a business, and you'll be able to now maybe one day be stable. As I still hope one day I will also be Elizabeth and go 100% and do business. I hope that answers you, Charles.
Yes, I'm very grateful. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much, Suzanne. Elizabeth, do you want to add anything, or can we listen from the next participant?
I was just going to say that Susan said everything that I was going to say. I was going to say it's about how you pitch yourself in terms of, especially when it comes to the soap, if people are just bouncing you easily, that oftentimes may be an indication that you have to change your approach, or maybe you approach different, people differently. Maybe, if it's a woman or a mother, you may approach them differently than you would approach a young adult, who you may also approach differently than an older man. And so also being able to kind of camouflage, if you will, based upon that target audience and who you're speaking to, and trying to identify and connect what the need is, I think is important, as Susan mentioned as well. So her answer was perfect.
Thank you so much. Bruno, please ask your question. You're on mute. Okay, go ahead, please.
And the panelists, this discussion is worthwhile, and I will start by begging that we make it as frequent as a quarter or something like that. I happen to be a leader in one of the groups here in Young Africa of Uganda, and we would wish to find ways of having you people organize our discussion because it is very important. I also like to give confidence to my brother Nyanja, who asked a question. There is a project that and development program in which we are trying to help people start up enterprises at universities. We are piloting this in 4 of the universities, and his is not one of them. But we know with time we shall come there, because we want to tell the people the realities of the world of employment and so on and so forth.
I'm sorry, Bruno. I think we can't get you so well.
Wow.
I think your voice is breaking a bit.
From now. Okay, can you get better now?
Yeah, this is now better. Please
Hello?
Go ahead. Hello, we can hear you better now.
Yes. Okay. My question was on social enterprises. I was waiting for someone to tap on the issue of income generation for social enterprises, or the so-called non, because it looks like there's a big gap in between there. What I have been hearing is mostly on non-profits. How can you advise someone who is in a social enterprise, how they position themselves to generate some income? For instance, concept that I was telling about that run how can you have discussion groups again?
Elizabeth, have you been able to hear what Bruno has asked, or can we ask him to type on the chat?
For clarity purposes, it may be better if he types. I did hear that, I believe the question has to do with social enterprises specifically, but to which extent, I was unable to hear.
Okay, thank you. Bruno, kindly type on the chat so that we are able to respond to your question sufficiently. Meanwhile, Molly, kindly go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Thank you, Stella. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
All right. So my name is Molly Abende. I'm from Kenya. I am a food technologist by training and profession. I'm currently employed as a production manager at a food processing plant, but I've been passionate about entrepreneurship, I think possibly since my days in campus. My question goes to Susan, but I think I'd also love to hear Elizabeth's input. By the way, ladies, thank you so much. This has been an insightful session. So my question would be, how have you guys, I think particularly Susan, how have you maneuvered 15 years in employment with the nature of restrictive contracts that sometimes employers enforce on employees? So how have you been able to navigate that space where some employers have very restrictive contracts or maybe non-compete or conflicts of interest? And how do you really go about it, especially if you want to still be employed and also start a business? I hope that was clear.
Yeah, that was clear,
Yes,
Molly.
that was.
Thank you, Molly. For me, Molly, I have ensured that I do not sell what my employer sells. As I've mentioned, I've done 6 years in the bank, I've done 3 years in insurance, and now I'm almost my 7th year in insurance. As you can see, what am I doing? Real estate is my major income generating business that I'm doing. Totally very different businesses, so that I do not even hide that I am an entrepreneur from my employer. After we are here, I'm going to post about this talk, because I keep telling you, and Molly, I want to encourage you, remember your employer is a contract. And when you sit down and look at that contract, I'm looking at mine, it says I work 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, meaning 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. I am allowed to do what I want with my life. So do not fear about that, as long as you do not touch anything that or closer to your employer. So that's how I'll be able to answer for you, Molly, on that. And number 2 is, as you grow in your business, I am very key to keep preaching who Susan Nyota is more than I preach who Britam is, okay? So people buy me, even my employer knows what value I add for them in their company. And they are even more impressed on what these other things I can be able to do. And I'm still very successful, especially being in the sales for the last 6 years. So you need also to ensure you as Molly, you keep building Molly brand as you build the other brand for the company. Because when all companies go, I have had 3 companies in my life, but Susan Nyota is a complete brand that has been there consistently for the 15 years, Molly. So that is very important. Number 2, I will be very open with you. My husband does sell insurance. And as I've mentioned, because I've been able to be very courageous, and remember that's one of the major characteristics you need to have as a great entrepreneur, and confidence. I always declare that my husband sells insurance and that is his business, and I cannot stop him, but that does not affect the business that I do for my company. Therefore, when you are open like that, Molly, people stop looking for mistakes with you. But when you hide, people use that and leverage it to now take advantage of you when you are in the career as well as the business industry. So for me, Molly, in summary, build Molly brand more, higher, better than even your company brand at any time, so that Molly is the one that people buy. If I leave Britam now, I will still get employed to another person, but I know they are not going to employ me because I was in Britam, but they are going to employ me because I am a successful sales leader. You get Molly now what I'm talking about? Therefore, when I pitch even my business, people buy Susan Nyota first. That's how I'll encourage you. And where you need to declare, please do declare, and do not ensure that you protect yourself from conflict of interest. I hope that answers you, Molly.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Susan. I think the key takeaway for me is build your personal brand so that even if the employment ends, you still have something to stand with. But I think as a follow-up question, for you being in the insurance industry, are you able to offer any consultancies around business development, like you have a lot, like you know a lot around business. So are you able to offer consultancies around entrepreneurship, maybe finance, that are similar to maybe some of your roles at work, but I don't know. I hope you got my question.
Yes, I will be very open. Remember I told you, apart from real estate, I offer goods and services. Do you remember? Now, the service part is Susan Nyota part as a consultant, because that's why Britam has employed me. You will find me, I'm very busy on Saturday offering my consultancy services on business development, sales management to other now to other businesses that seek out me. And that's why I'll say, if you follow me even on, for example, if you go to my LinkedIn, you will notice I sell Susan. When I'm doing Britam job, I sell Susan. And the people who seek out for me for consultation, they do that because they see the success of Susan in Britam. They do not see Britam in Susan. They see the success of Susan in Britam. So Molly, please, as you build the career, and that's what I've said, if you have the fear that I still have, take advantage of the opportunity you have in your employers, taking care of you, marketing, financial aspect, and stability of tomorrow. Take advantage of that to build Molly, that now people will start seeking out for Molly. Thank you, Molly.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you so much, Susan. Looks like we have time for just one more question. This does not mean that your questions will not be answered. Please feel free to type them on the chat, and we can always have the panelists respond to them, and we have you get the responses. So we will give Omar a chance to ask his question, and the rest of the participants can type their questions on the chat. Omar, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello.
My question goes. Yes. Hello, hope you're hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you.
My question goes, what impact? We have many entrepreneurs outside here who are students. They have the idea to do businesses. They have some business plans. They have a very competitive business plan, but the funny thing comes when the resource. Maybe somebody have the land, have everything, but the resource, the material resource, that the capital in short, that can maneuver or run the project. So how can we come together so that we can empower such people whereby they can run their ideas? Like where I come from, I'm from Kenya, Tana River. We have a very ample land that's very arable. The river source is there, but people are starving of hunger, and yet we have a land which is arable. I come with a big project whereby if to get funds, it can work, because that is a versatile place whereby I can give food production to almost the country, which we are now striving for because of the resource of River Tana, the biggest river in Kenya. So how can we come with, because I try to go into the local government, I don't get any support, but my business idea is, and my project was very comprehensive and very sensitive, but actually the support. So somehow, outside here, as much as we speak about entrepreneurship, some of the people have good ideas but are suffering because how to outsource the funds to run that project or that business is now becoming a challenge. So what is other alternative, like taking some loans? You are being told maybe you don't have a loan limit, because for you to have a loan, you must have at least your account have some money. Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
So for the agricultural sector, especially in Africa, I do know that that's one of the most challenging when it comes to financial investments, because oftentimes banks and lenders in general are very hesitant to funding such ventures, although they can be very prosperous and lucrative, but then also helpful for the communities. I think this is where the importance of collaborations also come into play, as well as trying to establish networks with intergovernment organizations and or nonprofit organizations and foundations that do fund such ventures without there having to be anything to pay back. There are a lot of grants, especially now when it comes to agriculture in Africa, when it comes to climate change. There are some buzzwords, if you will call them, or key topics that are getting funded more and more, especially within fintech, agricultural sector, climate change are one of the top 3 right now that are being funded in Africa. I think it's just a matter of research, networking, and trying to align yourself with those who will be able to, even if they're not the ones that will fund the ventures, putting you or allowing you to have a seat at the table that will then be able to have those conversations. But I know that in regards to in-country supports, it can be very difficult when it comes to agriculture because of the risks that the financial institutions foresee when it comes to funding such ventures. That doesn't mean discouraged though. There are definitely other ways in which you can do so. Even forums, there's some forums and different groups or other organizations that you could even partner or collaborate with to seek funding as well. That way you're not doing it as one entity, but maybe your collaboration of entities going against one grant could also be beneficial for your venture.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Susan, do you have anything to add on that?
I think Elizabeth has touched everything, but I think I'm going to look at the other side of the coin. Elizabeth, allow me to do this, because I know how sometimes as a young person and a youth, you can really get discouraged because you have the dream, you have the idea, but you do not have the financial capacity. So for me, I think one of the key things, and I've seen one of the questions people are asking is, how do you deal with imposter syndrome as starting, is because also you need to accept where you are. You remember my story? I had very good ideas. I would have wanted to do the real estate, but I definitely did not have the money. Therefore, I shelved that and decided, where am I going to get the capital as Susan? And that's where I went to do something from a lower ground first to be able to get the capital. Because if you are in a position where you have an idea and it is not selling, then that is not entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is the ability of us identifying a business that is able to be sustainable. Therefore, you need to accept where you are right now, Omar, and now say, what else can I do to be able to get some capital? Therefore, reality checks come in also as an entrepreneur. You must maybe be able to do something else right now that maybe is more minimum, is on a smaller scale, and where your muscles are. Whether, as I said, if you do not have money, can you be able to offer services? Can you be able to sell your time? As Elizabeth said, time is money. And that's one thing that us youth sometimes tend to ignore, because I keep selling my time myself. I sold time when I did not have capital to be able to get capital to do business now. So you as a youth, if your uncle, if someone wants to send you something, sell your time. Don't just run here and there and offer free time to everyone. Start selling your money, and that's how you continue building your brand, as well as you continue building the capability now to be able to also sometimes even approach some investors, because Elizabeth will tell you, some investors want to ask you, what do you have? What little have you done? If you have not done, they do not believe what is on paper only. I am that kind of investor. I want to see what little have you done? And then I'll come tell you now as a business analyst, I think this is the opportunity you have. I can see a great opportunity here. This is the weaknesses, these are the strengths. Let me help you with capital and let's do this business. So Omar, I think that's the other side of the coin, and be able to just help you so that us as youth, we do not stop growing because we do not have money and we do not have the capability right now to start businesses. Let's do the other things. Allow me, Stella, to finish by this. When I was in university, Omar, because of struggling a lot, as I said, I did come from a humble beginning. I used to go to school, Elizabeth, morning hours in university. And then we have Hilton Hotel in our CPD, in our city. I used to go wash utensils and clean night shift, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And you see what, Omar, happened? Do you know I met my first employer there? My first employer for National Bank, as Elizabeth says, I continually continue to serve. And I met them there. They became a manager in the bank, and they remembered the hard work in Susan, and that's how I got my first job. So Omar, open up to very different opportunities that are around you that might be things you do not like, things you do not want to do, but that's where you are currently. So I think I'll be able to add that, Stella.
Thank you so much, Susan. We are finally coming to the end of our session. To our participants, please feel free to type your questions on the Q&A session. We will have them responded to by our panelists, and we will ensure that you receive the responses on email. So as we come to the end of our session, just one last thing from our panelists. In a minute, if there is one piece of advice that you will give to upcoming entrepreneurs in Africa, what will it be? In just 1 minute. Elizabeth, would you like to go first?
Sure, no problem. So the mention of imposter syndrome, I think, is real. And I want, if I could tell any young entrepreneur, I would say that it doesn't really ever stop. You will constantly always have the fear of self-doubt. You will always question yourself. You will always have those moments where you're like, maybe I should just quit this and just leave it behind and just find a job, an 8 to 5. And so don't feel like you're alone when it comes to that, or that something's wrong with you, or that you are going against your dream or your passion. As Susan mentioned, know where you are. Sometimes dreams are not dead, they just deferred. And finding different outlets or finding different paths to get you to the same results can be beneficial for you. When it comes to those who are currently employed, use every moment you can to gain the hard and soft skills in your current employment that you believe will aid your journey when it comes to establishing your business. And so asking questions to the accountant. You may be in the technical parts or the creative parts, but talking to different colleagues who come from different skill sets, I think would also be helpful for you when trying to gain that for yourself in your personal business and brand. That way you become more holistically aware of all the different facets that it comes to for really having a business. But then last thing is staying true to yourself, not in regards to the self-doubt or the gaining things, but knowing the why and understanding the why. That's important when it comes to your business. It's important for customers or prospects to understand about your business as well. What is the why? Why are you doing this? Why is it important? And why is it helpful for someone or making someone else's life easier?
Thank you so much. Susan, if there is only one piece of advice you will give to upcoming entrepreneurs in Africa, in 1 minute, what will that be?
Thank you. I think I will quote one of my big mentors called Buckminster Fuller, who said, everyone is born a genius, but the process of life degeniuses them, okay? So all of us, we have something we can add value into this world. But it is us who decide what we can do and what we cannot do, and that's what stops us. As Elizabeth has said, and this is what I will tell our young team, it will get tougher. The biggest question is, which hard are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the hard of poverty, or choose the hard of not being successful? Or are you going to choose the hard of working hard and working smart? For me, I always go to the side of choosing the hard of success, the hard of money, and the hard of being able to grow. And therefore, that has enabled me to keep growing career-wise and keep growing businesses. Because if you do not start now, I will start tomorrow. Always remember that. What you do not do now, another person is going to do what? Tomorrow. Please do now, so that the other person can get something else to do tomorrow. Do not stop yourself. Do not have fear. Just delve into it. Life is about failure and success. Failure helps us learn, and success helps us grow. So let us be able to open up to opportunities around us and not concentrate on the challenges. Life is about challenges, because without challenges, life would be so boring. So let us embrace challenges and ensure that challenges help us see opportunities and not hindrances. So thank you so much, Stella. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Susan and Elizabeth. We have all learned a lot from your insights today. From the chats, the participants have also learned a lot from the amazing feedback they are giving on the chats. And we are really grateful that you took your time to prepare and to attend the session and to give really powerful insights. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today's session. It was nice having you all. I wish you a successful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You and I, we're breaking bounds on bounds.